Now, here are your hosts, Hank Davis and Mello Betts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Fan Podcast. I'm your host, former professional athlete Hank Davis, and joining me in the studio for the Season 7 finale, he is our resident professor of sports and the gambling guru himself. He's Mello Betts. How are you, buddy?
Costa del Rico, my friend.
Oh, getting more Spanish by the day. Oh, maybe they can rename the Redskins something like that.
Possibly.
I don't know. Mello, not a lot of news this week, but, still some stuff to cover on the season finale. What did you think of this overall year?
You know my philosophy, no news is good news. Thought it was a pretty good season. Pretty good season.
What'd you think about the parity in the league?
That scares me, the staying parity in the league, but it helps my betting, so we got to go with that.
Yeah, it's always okay. It's always okay. So, shall we get into the news then?
Let's do that.
It's time for the news, a roundup of all the biggest headlines.
One day after Coach Jason Garrett wouldn't say whether he was going to continue calling offensive plays, offensive line coach Bill Callahan repeated the stance on Thursday. So in a news conference introducing the Dallas Cowboys coaches for the 2013 season, Callahan downplayed any potential changes within the structure of the offensive staff. It doesn't matter who calls the plays. We know what the play is going to be, so there's no guessers, no surprises. I think the players could even tell you what the play is going to be. Oh, my goodness. That's one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever heard. It doesn't matter. That guy up in the vendors, they can call the plays. They know what we're running. So if it's that simple to know what you're running, shouldn't the other team know what you're running too? Why would you downplay it that bad?
I think the basis for the downplay is the fact that John Gruden's staff is already in place down there. And, Mr. Garrett, he's just going to play out the string on this one.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness on that last comment. Automatic first down.
Oh, personal foul right there. I love it, though. It was just so surreal to watch that. Who's on first? Just like a comedy routine. Are you going to be calling the plays? I don't know. I don't think I am.
Welcome to Jerry's world is what this is all about here.
It's so stupid.
It is. But that's Jerry's way.
You might be the offensive coordinator, but you might not call plays. How does that work?
We're going to have the defensive backs coach call the plays. That'll throw him off.
I just think it's so silly. Oh, let's go right out of the frying pan into the fire.
Okay.
And let's talk about Mike Vick. He restructured his contract with the Eagles to make it more cap friendly. So he's going to, with every incentive in the book, which he's not going to meet. I don't know if you read it, but he's not going to meet half of these incentives because he won't be on the field because he's always hurt.
Well.
But it's up to $10 million. So he'll probably get about 5 or 6 of that.
Well, that's probably what he deserves.
Yeah, that's all he deserves. So if that wasn't enough, he was quoted as saying that in 2006, I ran for 1,000 yards, and it wasn't hard. I feel I can still do that. Once you start trying not to get hurt, that's when you get hurt. I think I have to go out there and play lights out and not worry about getting hurt. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about getting hurt either because you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be lights out, all right.
You're in the NFC East. They're trying to kill you.
Yes.
Those teams have... I personally, I don't think of another division in football that has that much animosity towards each other.
Well, this is true.
From the coaching staffs down to the water boys and the ball boys, those teams genuinely dislike each other.
Even the mascots.
Yeah, they will fight. They will fight you, physically fight you. And all those teams, I mean, they're marquee teams. They're marquee names. You see their logo and you're like, these are the big boys, in most seasons. And this is going to be interesting, running all those plays. You might want to keep all 4 quarterbacks because The Eagles, they signed Dennis Dixon to a 2-year contract on Thursday, so that reunites him with Chip Kelly. He knows.
I love reuniting.
He knows the offense. So you've got Michael Vick, Dennis Dixon, Nick Foles, and Trent Edwards.
That's loaded right there.
You might want to keep every last one of them. I heard the Chiefs want Nick Foles. That's what I've heard. Okay. So they might make
that would reunite Andy Reid with Nick Foles.
Yeah, and he would love that. Oh, you're the guy that got me out of there. Thank you. Thank you for that. No, but you might want to keep it. You're going to have to sit on 3. The way they get injured. And if you're trying to run an offense like that, man, we got a man down. Stretcher time. We got a man down, I think, anyway. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, it's like the Night of the Living Dead there, where they wanted more brains. We need more quarterbacks. We need more quarterbacks.
We need something. Speaking of brains, this is Mello's favorite person because he's so smart. Mm-hmm. Detroit Lions center Dominic Raiola has agreed to restructure his overbloated contract, likely keeping him in Detroit for another season. That'd be 13. Yeesh. So, earlier this month, you guys will remember they released Steven Peterman, Mr. Peterman from Seinfeld, in a cost-cutting move. They got rid of Kyle Vandenbosch. That was a cost-cutting move. They got rid of Titus Young. That was a sanity move.
Yes.
Because he's an idiot. And so they're now clearing the cap by about $8 million.
Good.
Space they freed up with those guys. And then the Mayhem, I like to call him Martin Mayhew, he said that he hopes to extend quarterback Matthew Stafford's contract this offseason. So Stafford had signed that 6-year deal in 2009 with $41.7 in guarantees, worth as much as $78 million. So I was just like, yikes. I don't know. Do you anything out of there stick out to you? We've talked about we're not fans of Dominic Raiola as far as if you're trying to run the ball, power run game. He's not going to give you that. Any other thoughts?
Well, that's basically it in a nutshell right there. If they're going to stay committed to, it's not a horrible line. They're good pass protectors, but you can never, on 3rd and 1, you're not going to shove it down anybody's throat with what they've got there. So darned if you do, darned if you don't. You got to have Stafford protected, but eventually you are going to have to address the aging offensive line.
Yeah, and you just need some road graders. For goodness sakes, you're in the NFC North. You know what I mean? That's what you should think of. When I think of the NFC North, I think I would want to think of cold weather, outdoor, just grind it out teams. Then you got the finesse Lions that stick out like a sore thumb in that division because they can't manhandle you on offense.
Well, look at Green Bay. They've let their running game slip away, and I think Detroit's just trying to follow whatever they do. But they don't have the same quarterback that Green Bay's got. Green Bay's got the best quarterback in the game, so they don't really have to have a running game. I know they'd like one, but the Lions, they have got to get – they can't just be the most pass-happy team in the league again this year because people will eventually catch up to that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You're asking a lot of your receivers to, just keep running. You're just going to run the Chip Kelly offense. You're just running all over the field. And it would get frustrating to be a decoy if we're running that many offensive pass plays. And I'm running down the field 30 yards a pop.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Maybe I would pull a Titus Young.
Ooh.
No, I wouldn't. If Cliff Averill, let's stick with the Lions. If he remains with the Lions for the next season, it's not going to come at the old hometown discount. He's made that very clear. So he said no hometown discount double check for him. So they used their franchise tender on him last season. So that won't work this time. Mm-hmm. And everywhere I've seen, he's been like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll be there. Maybe I won't. I don't think you can afford to keep him.
I don't think they're going to keep him. 29 sacks over the last 3 years. That's good, but that's not elite, and he's looking for elite money. So that, is a quandary in itself. This is one of the guys that they raised, they drafted, brought him up through their system, and now they're not going to be able to keep him. If that's going to be the case, I don't know how you build a championship team without being able to keep the best guys.
Yeah. At some point, you have to get guys that buy in to the team, and that means they don't make the most money. That's what it means. Look at the Patriots. Look at, teams that build, man. They understand I can't make the most money because I need these guys with me.
Yeah, and I don't know how you attract free agents. When you look at Detroit, there's a lot of money getting sucked up between the quarterback, the wide receiver, and the defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's a lot of dough. That's Yankee money. The Minnesota Vikings on Wednesday exercised the 4th-year contract option on Coach Leslie Frazier. So that'll take him through 2014. His contract was set to expire after the 2013 season. A lot of people looked at this and said, oh, that's fantastic. That's amazing. I don't look at it like that. It kind of makes me think that they're not 100% sure on him because you remember what Childress did to him? He got that next contract and then laid an egg.
Yeah, this is true.
And that's what this makes me think. Like they're saying, we're going to dip our toe in because, man, if you screw up next year, we'll eat 1 year, as opposed to saying, you're the guy, here's a 4-year, 5-year contract. Which way do you look at this?
Yeah, I guess from the management point of view, that you want to be better safe than sorry, especially when you just got done with Beach Hill burning you like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can see their point on that, but I like that guy. He's just so smooth and cool. And look everybody knew all they could do was run the ball, and they still were able to be pretty good. Yeah. So he's got to be doing something right there. And
I'm telling you what, if you're an NFC North fan, tell your team to stop the run. You know what I mean? They racked up so many yards against those 6 opponent games. They racked up. I can't tell you how much they racked up on Green Bay alone.
3 games of Green Bay. I think he had probably
5.
It was like over 500 yards.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous.
And then the Lions,
the Lions, they gave it to him.
It was embarrassing. It was pretty bad, man.
I mean, he's good, but their run defenses are bad.
Very bad. And Percy Harvin, he may decide not to even report to off-season workouts, and he wants this new deal again. And this is another guy that's looking for that big-time money, but you're not on the field, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sticks out to me is he's not playing. When he's out there, it's at a high level. But how many games a season is he averaging?
This is true.
And I'm not paying you what would essentially turn out to be millions of dollars for every touchdown you get.
Yeah.
I can't do that, man.
These guys have a little different form of math as far as they don't want to talk about how many times they've, missed out on games and all that. They just want to talk about big contracts and long-term contracts and all such as that.
Yeah. That's, it's... on one hand, you see their point that, hey, I'm a highly productive individual. Then on the other hand, you see the team going, we can't invest this kind of finances into you. I'd be hard-pressed to put that much money in a great player that's actually on the field all the time, like Calvin Johnson. He's a fantastic player. He's on the field all the time. But, man, one player soaking up that much dough, that's a lot.
Yeah, and every time Calvin goes sky high, I just keep thinking somebody's going to sweep his legs out from under him. He's going to crash, and look out.
Yeah. You got tons of cap money just eating away, paying a guy to stay at home. After watching the success athletic quarterbacks had this past season in the NFL, new Oakland Raiders offensive coordinator Greg Olson wants to see if he has one of those dual threat runner passers on his roster. So Olsen said Wednesday that it will be of the utmost importance to see what Terrell Pryor can do for the Raiders during off-season workouts and minicamp to get a better sense of what the Raiders have at quarterback. So remember, they're factoring in Carson Palmer is due $13 million base salary in 2013, buddy. What would you do, man? I'm sorry. I love Carson Palmer to death, and he is not the sole reason that team is losing. But I can't pay you $13 million, buddy.
That is big time money right there. You got to have big time production for that. But again, if you want to switch quarterbacks, now you've taken the time that he spent with these young wide receivers. That's out the window. You throw this other guy in, and I just don't know that Terrell Pryor makes quick decisions. He might make the right decision eventually, but to me, when I'm watching him, I don't know that he makes the quick decision like you have to be able to make on a regular basis to be a big-time NFL pro quarterback.
Yeah, he's never, in my opinion, he got all those accolades in college, and he has never been as good as the hype was, just for me. Just when I watch him in action, I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see where it translated from the superstar that he was in college to where he's going to be able to take over games in the pros. Maybe he can if given the opportunity, but I'm not banking my last dollars on that.
Falcons president and CEO Rich McKay on Wednesday told a skeptical Atlanta City Council that if the team negotiated for a new $948 million retractable roof stadium does not come to fruition, the organization would be forced to look for a better deal elsewhere in the metro area.
Oh, my word.
McKay said that it's not a threat, but with the Falcons, but with the Falcons lease for the Georgia Dome set to end in 2017, the team does not want to stay in the building that is called home since 1992 beyond that point. I just said this last week. What is the deal with everybody and their brother wanting the next best stadium? These stadiums are nearly $1 billion, and every team seems like is like, yep, we want a new stadium or we're bouncing. We'll find somewhere else.
You see why I call them the Billionaires Boys Club? I got to have the newest, shiniest thing going here.
That is sickening to me. And, I don't go to that stadium to see if it really needs this, if it's that bad or whatever. But, I'm pretty sure after you get a stadium, it don't take long for it to start looking rough and rugged. But a whole new stadium, you can't just make some revisions?
Well, on the matter of threatening, we're like he's did, I got together all my scouts for the combine and such as that. We're having a little meeting. I pulled out my 45 ACP, started waving around, and said, I'm not threatening you guys, but I need good information this year on how these guys are going to turn out, unlike, what you led me down the road last year.
I guarantee you they're taking a quarterback in the second round. You've never heard of him before, but he's the greatest thing. Where is he? Where is that guy? Didn't get drafted. I love it. Lastly, Washington Redskins general manager Bruce Allen, this is a follow-up story, says the team is not considering a new nickname, adding that it's ludicrous to suggest the franchise is trying to upset Native Americans. There's nothing that we feel is offensive, Allen said, and we're proud of our history. So hopefully that puts that to bed.
I doubt it.
It's just silly. And we got a lot of positive feedback for the comedy last week of just being silly about it because it's silly.
I'm going to say the same thing that I've always said. Are we going to just wait until there's nothing that has anything to do with Native Americans printed or stamped on anything? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Some of the names, all right, I could see the Redskin name where somebody might take offense to that. Not me. I wouldn't. I could see where somebody could. But when I heard the list of these different, don't say this, don't say that. Yeah, what is that? The Eagles and stuff? They were honoring tribes of Indians that were really here. We don't want to. How else are you ever going to hear about them but through sports?
Yeah. Because you sure as they wiped them out of history. I don't know if you've seen an updated history book, but they've wiped a lot of our past out of the history.
Hey, let's not say smallpox and blankets anymore. Then if we're going to go down that road,
yeah. Because if somebody out there can make me a Washington Darkies mock-up jersey, oh my gosh, I will wear it on air. I'm serious. I'll wear that. I would love that. I would love to see a team do that. Oh, my goodness, a one-off. Awesome. Oh, Mello. Any more news stuff that you wanted to talk about before I switch gears to That's Not Football?
You hit everything that I was on this week. Good deal.
Okay, let's go to the final That's Not Football of Season 7. That's not football. Not a lot was this year. The Minnesota Vikings logo got a slight facelift on Thursday. According to Jeff Anderson, the Vikings director of corporate communications, the move was made to give the logo a sharper and more defined look. Among the Norseman's subtle character changes are the adjustment of his helmet horns, more defined facial features, brighter gold coloration, and they shortened his hair because that just wasn't politically correct to have his hair that long. Mello?
Now, you know darn well a Viking wouldn't go along with any kind of changes like that. That's not football.
Dost thou not know the Vikings? Rob Gronkowski seems to have responded to those critical of him for his off-season partying ways. The Patriots tight end was hanging out at a Universal Studios Orlando get-together on Saturday and was seen wearing a green tank top that says, "Sorry for partying" on it.
Oh, that is good, but that is not football.
Oh, goodness. Let's stick with the Gronk. Some Patriots view Gronk's antics as childish. Others, like Patriots guard Logan Mankins, feels they're pretty harmless. As long as he's not getting DUIs and doing things that are against the law, I don't think he's hurting anyone. Hopefully he doesn't hurt his arm. Then that would be bad. Gronk is a big meathead that likes to party and play football. Mello.
That is brutally honest, and that's not football.
Also kind of selfish. I hope he don't hurt the arm. I don't care if he does anything else. Just don't hurt that golden receiving arm. O.J. Simpson may have found a way to increase his standing among his peers in prison. Because on Super Bowl Sunday, this is according to the New York Post, Simpson held a Super Bowl viewing party in his 80 square foot cell. If you have the money, you can buy a TV at the inmate store and put it in your cell. And that's coming from one of his friends, who is Norman Pardo. He's a producer off of television. He's like the godfather of the prison now. Mello.
Oh, snap. Juice has still got the juice, but that is not football.
The juice needs to get disconnected because you're not in there to have fun. How do you get to have a store in prison?
Because you're the juice.
If you've got the money. I mean, what kind of prison is that? 80 square foot? Wow. Cam Newton has decided to go back to Auburn to work towards finishing his degree. And it appears that he has no problem acclimating himself to campus life once again. He was photographed playing intramural basketball, Mello.
Intramural basketball. That's not football.
That's injury. That has ACL written all over it.
Why do I know down the line we're going to have a story on his basketball career here?
I was good. I could have played two sports. And lastly, Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Jacoby Jones loves to dance. So much so that when Jimmy Kimmel asked him if he'd like to go on Dancing with the Stars, Jones responded, "Do polar bears poo on ice?" What kind of stupid question is that? I want to be on that show. Do polar bears poo on ice? Is that an analogy that people commonly use as, like, of course I do. I didn't know that, Mello.
That's not football.
At first I was like, is that a dance? Is that some kind of weird dance? Okay. Well, that does it for That's Not Football. So a mere 68 days until the draft, if I'm correct. That's not that long.
No, it's time to get your homework done, though.
Yeah, it's time to scout some offensive and defensive linemen.
The mock drafts that I've been looking at, wow, decorated with defense and big guys in the first 20 easily.
Oh yeah, this is a bad team's dream right here. because you might get some lifers on your on one of your lines. You might be able to get you a couple of lifers. So we're still asking listeners, how do you want us to cover the 2013 draft? So you can email us at tprfans@yahoo.com or call the voicemail line at 1-810-309-8445. Regular toll charges do apply. So now it's time to get to some of the stuff that I told people I would talk about. So the audio upgrade is hopefully will be in place by the time the draft rolls around. That will be kind of a challenge, I think, because I'm gonna switch to all digital. It's gonna be all digital mixer, and the learning curve on that, I heard, is pretty steep. So bear with me while I try to get that together. So that's on the audio side. On the video side, we're going to be switching to 720p. That should be up and running by the draft as well. If not, it will all be up and running by the start of season 8, which will be at the end of, usually at the start of August, we start our season. Usually we start our pre-shows. But also I'd like to maybe do some interviews and stuff like that, so we're not gone that whole time, and just periodically have something to put out to the listeners. Love to do that. So stay subscribed and be on the lookout, because as soon as I get the studio redone visually or the audio, you can bet I'm going to want to show it off a little bit and put something out there. And next year we're going to debut some new segments as well. So a segment that I came up with that I've run by Mello is going to be something around the 12th man, which will be you guys out there. And that'll be a way that it only took me 7 seasons to figure out a way to implement your feedback. I was all over it. So we're going to finally implement your feedback with a segment. It'll be based around the 12th man, and that'll be you guys. And then a segment I've been working on that I wanted to debut this season but didn't. It is going to be the football feud. So I'm going to try and give people a taste of what that's going to look like before the draft if I have everything set up. Mello, any questions about the new upgrades?
When you said 720p, I thought you were talking about my morning routine. I don't know.
Swollen prostate. Nice. Nice.
Snap.
So it's like clockwork. I gotta get up. Oh, that's great. So also I'll be upgrading Mello's audio at his home studio. I'm gonna put add a compressor on his end, a mic preamp, I should say. I'm going to add that on his end and upgrade his microphone a little bit.
People would like you to downgrade my microphone, put a depressor so they don't have to hear me.
Consistent mute. You're the only one that gets good feedback. I usually don't. I usually get feedback, but it's never good. Or they just don't say anything, which is worse. Yeah, your co-host was really nailing it. What about me? What did I do? It's my show. So, hey, we're just trying to take things up a notch. You know, every season we've tried to go up a notch. I think this season was the best season ever as far as quality. And I can't say actual
content. Can't say anything about the content.
I won't go that far. I'll say quality went way up.
The forum was there.
The content, however, I don't know. But yeah, we'll have a YouTube channel, a dedicated YouTube channel, and I'm gonna start live streaming. So it'll be like what it'll be like is just we'll do the show, get everything tidied up, and then those streams will continue to go back out over the airwaves, and as well as through podcasts and YouTube, and we're just gonna try and be everywhere. We're on Stitcher Radio. We'll be on TuneIn Radio by then. And just really take it to that next level of giving people all kinds of options to listen, watch, subscribe, whatever. But it really helps us if you subscribe into the directories like iTunes and I don't know about Zune Marketplace anymore. I don't know if they even support that anymore. But Stitcher, we've been doing really good there, and we want to continue to do so. All right, Mello, any other things that we should discuss before we have to sing our hearts and souls out here?
It's just that time of year for everyone to do their homework and get their wish list around for what their team needs and what their team is actually going to do. I know teams are quite famous for having needs that stretch on for 2 to 3 seasons that they don't address.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know where the honesty went out the window for some of these teams, but some of these teams did not look in the mirror this year before they started.
Yeah.
And just, we're lying about our line, we're lying about our defense, we're lying, you know what I mean? We're just going to make do with what we have, and it was not enough.
They just flopped the comb over, slicked their hand down, wiped it on their head, and said, good enough, let's go.
Good enough. I'm not bald. I don't see any balding.
There's hair. It's going in the wrong direction.
There's hair, but it's not good hair. Oh my goodness, this should be fun. Well, Mello, are you ready to do as our tradition for the last 7 seasons of singing?
I've put 5 minutes into my preparation for that.
That's 5 more than I put in. That's 5 more than I mean, I'm thankful Kenny Rogers is still alive, because he would really be upset if he'd be rolling, tumbling if he wasn't. All right, let's cue this. Let's cue this.
You've heard of the saying, "Here goes nothing."
On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Now, every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back towards the window, crushed out a cigarette, and faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. 'Cause you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. 'Cause you got to know when to hold 'em,
When to hold 'em,
know when to fold 'em,
when to fold 'em,
know
when to walk away and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Terrible as always, as advertised. So, folks, we thank you so much. We'll be back before the draft. So we'll see you then.
Peace out.